For no reason in particular, in 2025, I decided to start reading books again. I feel like, as with many people, I stopped reading books sometime in high school, outside of, required readings for English class, which a lot of the time I only read halfway or a third of the way in. Fuck you, 1984, that book sucks. Anyways, I don't really have the intents on being a full-on book pervert like I was when I was in elementary school, but I knocked out a couple books this year. I kind of have this intent of trying to go through a lot of absurdist classics, because I am an absurdist and I kind of want to engage with absurdist art because it's a philosophy I believe pretty heavily in, and I want to be able to get references. So I've been kind of on this journey. I will probably continue into 2026 into this journey. I have at least two more that I want to get through, two more absurdist books that I want to get through before I'm kind of just gonna go off and just read other big important books that I want to read, but I really have no intent on actually doing research into things or getting involved into bookful communities. I have 4 books here, so let's start from the bottom. Go from the one I liked the least to the one I liked the most this year. The Stranger by Albert Camus. Camus. The basis of the book is there's this 30-something bachelor who his mother dies and he lives on his own now, and he kind of is disconnected from society. Not physically, but more just he doesn't give a fuck. In his passive relationship to existence, he kind of goes along with a bad crowd and ends up killing a guy for no reason, and then he's prosecuted for that crime. And that's the whole book. All these books are really short. This one's really short. It's not even 10 chapters. I mean, most of these are under 100 pages or so. I could probably put up a word count, but who cares? All these books are really short, so if you're interested in any of these, I recommend them. It'll be a couple hours read, maybe 3 or 4 at most. The issue I had with The Stranger is that it felt like most of the book was build up for the last chapter. All the actual content of the book, all the actual weight of the book were in the last chapter. Again, this is a short book, so it's not it goes on and on and on and on, and the whole fucking, it's not like you're investing a lot of time into this book in the first place. But even then, it kind of just is. Not really a lot is happening. Nothing really interesting happens. There's a little bit of an interesting thing with Marceau's neighbor who abuses his dog, and then he loses the dog. And that kind of relationship between those two, if you want to call the dog a character, is quite interesting, and how that progressed was interesting, but they didn't actually do much with it. I don't think they really attempted to say much with it other than what it is what it is. Again, I don't want to spoil any major details of this or any of these if anyone's actually interested in what I'm saying here. But yeah, it really just felt like all of the weight of the book was in the final chapter, and everything before that was just kind of not even setting up for that so much as just adding context to why someone could come to that conclusion. It kind of feels like maybe this would be a lot more impactful if you go into books expecting the protagonist to be a good person. But personally, I never expect protagonists or any character in particular to be morally good or bad just because of the relationship to the narrator or the point of view. That was probably a weird way of saying it, but either way, I wouldn't call it a bad book. It was just kind of until the last chapter. And the last chapter was okay, yeah, this is actually pretty good, but that was too much build up for what it was, in my opinion. Next, we got The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. It was quite Kafkaesque, you could say. Anyways, I liked it. I found Kafka's writing style to be entertaining inherently, even if it wasn't meant to be comedic. It had a very comedic tempo to it. He overuses parentheses, which I got a kick out of because that is absolutely something that my English teacher got mad at me for in like 4th grade or something. But yeah, I felt that while not a lot actually happened in the book. Oh, yeah, let me explain what actually happens in the book. One morning, Gregor Samsa wakes up and suddenly he is a massive cockroach. And when I say massive, I mean like human-length cockroach or beetle. I don't know if they actually specify. He's a giant bug. He turns into bug. He is bug man now. And his immediate first thoughts are, God damn it, I'm gonna be late for work. Which, you know, I think is a very strong opening, not opening statement so much as just like a philosophy to introduce what to expect from the rest of it. It's pretty depressing throughout most of it. You don't actually get to see a lot. I mean, almost the entirety of the book takes place in his bedroom, because it is an absolute monumental effort to go outside of his room. And even if he wanted to, which he doesn't because his brain is turning into bug brain, he lives with his family who are fucking terrified of him because he is a 6-foot-long cockroach, and they don't really even know if it really is him or not, and they're kind of just clinging to hope. And as the story goes on, they kind of lose hope to varying degrees. The different family members have kind of different stances on it. It is very interesting to see internally. Gregor struggles because he is naturally a very self-sacrificial person. He puts himself through hell to try to support his family, and particularly his little sister. But as he's stripped from his ability to provide, he kind of becomes a shell of a man. But at the same time, his family, you know, the people that according to society are supposed to love you and support you no matter what, they can't even see him as properly human anymore because, well, he literally isn't. And there's no way to communicate between each other either. So it's kind of becomes this really interesting dynamic. It's very, very interesting. It kind of plays outside what you might expect from typical narrative tropes in these sorts of fantastical situations. And the conclusion it comes to, I felt, was very potent. I don't want to say anything too specific. It's kind of hard to say why I like the conclusion so much without just saying what happens at the end. But I really like how they handled it. I felt it was very nuanced in it was very potent while still holding a lot of nuance. It kind of lets you come to this conclusion by yourself. It's kind of like it happens and then it's handled in a certain way. Like it's the way that it's delivered kind of makes you feel, okay, but why did they do it like that? Why did Franz Kafka write it to be that way? And then in that kind of like confusion as to the sudden shift or like the outside of expectedness of it, you kind of allow yourself to come to the conclusion that I believe that the story wants you to come to. And I really like that. I didn't think it didn't shake me to my core or anything. While I do enjoy Kafka's prose, the characters weren't very fleshed out or really had much personality outside of how they felt about the bug situation and how they handled it. It is a short story, so there's only so much you could do there. But I liked it. I would recommend it to people. Let's go to Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. Very entertaining book. I really enjoy how Vonnegut writes. This is the first one I read, so it's kind of hazy back in my mind, so I'm going to try my best to recall my thoughts on it. I felt like it was a bit too brutal at times. It is a wartime story. I keep forgetting to say the plot. Not Billy Hatcher, not Billy Mitchell, Billy something. Main character guy, Billy something, has become unstuck in time, which basically means that he is constantly hopping between different points of his life. And the plot itself is very interesting in its delivery because you know how the events are going to unfold. There's no breaking out of what fate has already decided for Billy. So he's kind of just experiencing things, he's always going to arrive at the same conclusion. It's not like a typical time travel story where the people traveling through time are trying to follow the script or trying to break the script to change events. He's still kind of in the proper mindset he should be for whatever part of life he is at. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's very interesting how it's handled because you already know what's going to happen. Most of what you get out of the progression of the story is the nuances between the big things that are always going to happen. And it's very, I mean, everything here is absurdist. It's every single one of these books has a theme of you can't really change how things are, futility almost, without being hopeless. Every single one of these books has a theme of things are just going to happen how they happen, and you know, there's no real conclusion and there's not really a moral to how things happen, and sometimes things just happen. So there's not a whole lot of character progression. There are some strong characters. Jeez, I feel like I'm saying a whole lot of nothing about Slaughterhouse 5. It was a really entertaining book, particularly before the prison. Before they arrived at the prisoner of war camp. I feel like that is a bit brutal. It's a bit much. I mean, it's a story that in part takes place during World War II. It is very brutal. It's very grim. People die in cruel ways. People are cruel to each other. It's gross. It's a struggle to survive. Dignity is out the window. All you can really do is hope you get to be lucky enough to see you the next day. And that was a bummer. It wasn't fun to read through that part. I'm not a fan of war stories, especially not like real world war stories. But everything else was very, very fun. Very entertaining, very interesting how it approached things. Despite being literally all over the place, the pace was great. The conclusion of the book I feel is a bit weaker than all the other books, but it still very much has a conclusion, and I don't mind saying what the conclusion is here. And funnily enough, it is something that I've been kind of living by for a while now. I don't remember the exact way they phrased it, but it essentially boils down to don't worry about the things you can't change and just focus on what you can change and just focus on the good stuff, because bad things are going to happen no matter what. So just try to enjoy yourself while it lasts and don't worry about the things you can't change, which I already said. I very much want to read a different Kurt Vonnegut, one with maybe a bit more plot and direction to it, one that's not a war story, and I think I will get a lot out of that. So 2026 I'll probably get to a different Kurt Vonnegut. Yeah, I feel like I didn't do a very good job rambling about that one, but that's okay. My favorite book that I read is Waiting for Godot, which is a stage play, so if you want to call it a fake book, then you're free to. I'm calling it a book because I read it as a book. I mean, it's very obvious why it's a classic. It is extremely funny, extremely entertaining, very subtle in what it says, but what it does say is really potent. Its conclusion kind of hangs in the air, and if you're not paying enough attention, you might say that there isn't a conclusion and it kind of just ends. But I don't know, I think it was very, very well handled, and what it was trying to say was very well handled. It was very, very entertaining throughout the ride. I like that all the characters kind of suck a little bit. I like that it's basically old man Yaoi, Estragon and Vladimir, old man Yaoi. I keep forgetting to explain the plot. So, okay, two guys who are very obviously down on their luck, possibly homeless, Vladimir and Estragon, are waiting by the side of an empty-ass country road, waiting for Godot. Why are they waiting for Godot? Vladimir says that he might maybe help them out of something. And that's like the entire book. They are just waiting for Godot. It is titled that. There's a lot of like sleepiness and confusion around their purpose, which I really like, and that kind of builds into what the book is trying to say, which I'll probably talk about at the end. But Godot, what Godot is supposed to be doing, or who he even is, how he's going to help, it's never really... It's actually very intentionally danced around. I was going to say it's not really expressed, but it's actually very intentionally like made a circle around. So they don't let you learn what Godot is supposed to do or who he is or anything like that, which kind of really emphasizes this idea of clinging to hope, even if you don't understand what that hope is for. Waiting for Godot is essentially waiting for an outside force to make things better for you when you feel like you have nothing you can do. I guess I'm just talking about what I think the book is about now. There's a very strong atmosphere of futility, of habit, of running around in circles, nothing really changing, and everything kind of just continuing the same way. There's very, very many times Vladimir and Estragon suggest doing something else, saying they're going to change something, and then not doing it, which is both funny because they are written as jokes, but also very potent as the story goes on. Again, very subtly delivered. It's very easy to miss that something is being said if you're not looking for it, or at least I feel that way. There's also smaller punches that it does with its message, its themes or whatever, where major changes can happen overnight. You could go blind in a day, and sometimes it's just like that. Which, it doesn't really sit on that very long, which is fine. The fact that it's there, I think, is very good, especially for its length. It is a play with 2 acts. I think the book itself is, 60, 70, 80 pages, something like that. And stage play books are, if you're unaware, a lot less dense word-wise, because just kind of line of dialogue, then a line break, then a line of dialogue, back and forth. There'll be 5 lines where 10 words are said, very often, because it's a back and forth. It's kind of a comedy duo situation with Estragon and Vladimir in the unintended comedy sort of way, but there's also Pozo and Lucky, which are the other 2 characters that matter, and they're Pozo more so is a complete fucking asshat, terrible person, but very eccentric and extravagant, and he kind of adds this element of uncertainty to the mundanity of Waiting for Godot. Kind of has this theme of something bad is still better than nothing at all. At least you're being occupied and not left alone with your thoughts. And it also kind of, with Lucky and Pozo, you kind of get this thing of no one is wholly good or wholly bad. No one's intentions are clear-cut, and nothing is really clear-cut. But it also just serves to give the audience a lot of funny moments to laugh at. There's lots of little lines here and there that stuck out to me. Did you know that the phrase, "that's how it is on this bitch of an earth," is from Waiting from Godot? For Godot, not from. Anyways, blaming your boots for the fault of your feet, for reasons unknown in spite of all the tennis. That's a fun line that is complete nonsense intentionally. Anyhow, Waiting for Godot, it's both the most entertaining of the books that I've read and also maybe not the strongest or most potent themes in philosophy and conclusion, but certainly very strong. It has a great humanity to it. Slaughterhouse 5 also had that. They're both very, very human-feeling books. It's a little stupid to say they're all from humans, but they're all very human-feeling. It has the whole human in there instead of just this idealized or characterized or narrative version of a human. Painfully human is a phrase that I like to use to refer to the sort of humanity that I really like in art, which I kind of use that to mean being human comes with a lot of unfortunate flaws and a lot of good things. A lot of stubbornness. We're hopeful, we're stubborn, we're greedy, we're sensitive, we're all sorts of things. We're all sorts of mixed, contradictory, very strong things all at once, and it's painful sometimes. And it leads to bad things sometimes. Sometimes it leads to completely, utterly, jaw-droppingly beautiful things. And ultimately, what comes will come, and we're gonna do what we're gonna do. Also, I guess briefly, I could note that I read, not in its entirety, but a lot of Homestuck. Homestuck's very long, if you're unaware. I read through Act 4 and Act 5, which is more than a third, but less than a half of Homestuck, and Act 5 on its own was genuinely some of the most engaging art or narratives, one of the most engaging narratives I've ever engaged with. I love using the same word multiple times. I'm now realizing that for this whole time I've kind of been looking away from my mic and looking back to it, so hopefully it's not terrible audio quality, but whatever, second channel video. 2026, I'm gonna read a Vonnegut, maybe Breakfast of Champions, maybe Cat's Cradle, I don't know. One of the popular ones, probably. And then I also have on my shelf already The Trial by Kafka, and that one's a little bit of a proper-sized book. Outside of the absurdism, I'd like to read House of Leaves. That sounds like something that I'd be really into, as well as Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and this one's intimidating, but I really want to, Infinite Jest. But that's going to be quite the undertaking, so I don't know if that's a 2026 thing. I don't even know if House of Leaves is going to be a 2026 thing, but, you know, we'll see. I kind of just read for like 15-20 minute bursts while I'm on break at work, so the longer books are a little bit more intimidating, which is why I've mostly read short stories thus far. I plan on doing a video similar to this for music and games that I've played this year. Music I've listened to and games I've played this year, so those will come within some number of weeks. Main channel video will exist at some point, hopefully soon. I want it to be soon. Will it be soon? Who knows. I've got a complete script, final draft. I'm writing notes for what the actual visuals of the video are going to be right now, because I can't just slap footage on this one. It's a bit different. But yeah, that will be soon-ish. So look forward to second channel, look forward to main channel, look forward to 2026, look forward to spending time with friends and enjoying your life when you can, in spite of all the tennis.